What's up YouTube, Dennis here, and welcome to another tutorial. So this is what we're going to be creating, and this is how you do it. So let's get started. Okay, first of all, let's create a new comp, and we're gonna call this text animation. Okay, you can leave everything as it is for now, just hit OK. Alright, so let's take the text tool and let's type in animation. For example, of course you can write whatever you want, but for the sake of the tutorial I just want to go with this example. Okay, so let's bring in our title lines here for a better view. Place this somewhere down here, then hit S on your keyboard. Make sure you unchain your scale and then go somewhere around here. Hit the stopwatch for a keyframe, then go to the very beginning and zero that out. Now as you can see, our text is scaling up from the bottom, which is exactly what we want. Okay, now let's go to our layer and press T on your keyboard to bring up the opacity. Let's keyframe it right here and go to the very beginning and type in 0. And as you can see now, our text is slightly fading in. Now press U on your keyboard to bring up all your keyframes. Select these two, go to keyframe system and choose easy ease. Now our animation goes a little smoother. Alright. Now let's take these two and drag them somewhere over here because I want the animation to be a little faster. Let's go to around 10 frames and I think that will be alright. Yes, looks better I think. Okay, now, so what we want to do now is we want to copy that layer. So select this layer and hold down Command or Control D to duplicate it. And then let's just drag this up here a little and choose our text tool and let's type in text. Okay, now select this layer again, hold down Command or Control D and duplicate this again. Let's drag this up a little as well and select it and let's type in and clean. Okay, let's do this one more time. Duplicate this layer and drag it right on top. And now let's call this a nice and clean text animation. Okay, now let's resize our text layers a little. Let's increase this one. I want them all to be the same width, so let's adjust these a little. Let's make this a little smaller. Alright, and now let's make sure that the spacing is alright. For that we select our layer and yeah, let's place this somewhere here. Okay, and this one as well. Okay, so now let's select them all and drag them down a little, and as you can see, this is our basic animation, but we don't want them all to be starting at the same time, and for that we select them all, hit U on your keyboard to bring up your keyframes, and now let's bring these keyframes a little forward, like 3 frames each. Yes. Okay, now we can close them again. So this is our animation now so far, and Yep, I think this looks alright. So let's select them all, and now what we want to do is we want to pre-compose these layers. So go to layer, hit pre-compose. Let's call this one text animations, move all attributes into this composition is alright. And let's go somewhere where our animation is ending, somewhere around here. Hit P on your keyboard to bring up the position, keyframe it, and then go to your very last first frame. Go to your first frame and drag this layer down a little. And let's go to this keyframe assistant, and give it another easy ease to have this slightly smoother transition like this. Okay, now let's hit S on our keyboard again, because I want to scale the whole thing down a little, something like this. Yep. Let's get rid of our title lines. We don't really need them anymore because it's already centered. Okay, now our composition is a little long. I mean, I had like 8 seconds. So let's bring this down a little. Let's bring it down to like 2 seconds. And for that, we just grab this thing here and drag it down to 2 seconds. And then right click on it and trim comp to work area. Okay, now our total composition only lasts for like 2 seconds. Okay, now let's create a background, and let's call this one the solid BG, and let's drag it underneath our composition, and go to your effects panel and type in ramp. Now let's take this ramp and drag it right on onto our layer. Change this to radial ramp. Now let's give it some nice bluish color, something like this, I think. Yeah. Okay, then hit OK once you're happy. Let's color pick our second color. Let's take the same blue and then make it a little darker. Now hit OK. Now we can take this one here, and I want to drag it somewhere here. This is just personal preference. Okay, go to our composition layer and type in drop shadow, because we want to have some nice shadow around it. Just drop it right onto it. Let's change our resolution to full so we can yeah, okay, now let's take the same blue, let's color pick the same blue that we're already using and make it like really dark. And then go to distance, and I want to put it to somewhere like 30, and then crank up our softness to around like 170. Alright. Okay, looking good. Now I want the scale also to increase a little, so for that hit S, keyframe it at the very first keyframe, and then go to somewhere like where your animation is ending, and then increase the scale a little to like 85 or something. Yep, easy ease this one again. Yep, I think this looks like a nice and simple and easy text animation. Okay, select our composition, hit U to bring up the keyframes. Let's make them all the same length, and easy ease the second one as well. Yep. And now we got the animation to fade in, but if you also want it to fade out, let's just copy these 2 frames here, and also the very first frame, and then copy them to the very last frame. And go into our composition by just double clicking it, select all the layers, and now let's select these 2 keyframes, copy and paste them. Same goes with these keyframes as well. And now let's go to somewhere where our animation is ending, copy the keyframes and paste them. Now let's select these lower keyframes at first and bring them to the left a little, and let's drag them over here a little. And now, as you can see, this is just the same animation, just put to reverse. I mean, basically you could have just copied this composition and then put it to reverse, but this is another way of doing it. Okay, so once you're happy with your animation, we can just render it out. For that we go to composition, add it to the render queue, select this best settings here. You can leave everything as it is, make sure it's everything is fine, then hit OK, go to lossless. I'm gonna render this in H.264, hit OK. Since we have no sound, there's no need for clicking this audio output, hit OK. And then define where you want to output your video. Let's call this text animation. Hit save and then hit render. Yep, this is pretty much it. So I hope you liked the tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comments, and yep, please subscribe and see you next time. Bye bye.